What's going on, guys? Today I wanted to bring you another discussion and tier list video. This time I wanted to talk about probably the most common rank extra deck in the game and in hat format, and that is going to be rank 4s. For this video, I wanted to specifically talk about the more generic options or semi-generic options, and what I mean by that is the cards that generically can be made in any deck that can make rank 4s, or for the most part have soft restrictions such as needing 2 dark monsters or 2 light monsters or something along those sorts. I didn't want to bring up the specific ones for certain decks, for example, something like a Battling Boxer Lead Yoke that needs 2 Battling Monsters, or any of the rank 4 monsters that require more than 2 materials, because there are a few, but for the most part, they're not the greatest. There's definitely a place for those, though, and they're not as common, so I didn't really want to talk about those as much. So hopefully just from looking at the screen here, you can kind of get an idea of what I mean by that. And I just want to talk about which are the best ones, which ones you should be including in your deck if you're needing rank 4s, which most decks in hat format are, and just, yeah, in general, which ones you should be playing. So looking at the categories here, I have the 100% category at the top. That's going to be for the monsters that you should 100% start off your extra deck playing those right away. I'm going to be very harsh on that category just to let you guys know. After that, we have solid option. These are going to be the ones that you don't necessarily need to play, but they're probably your next best bet. We have okay but not needed. That's it, if you have the space, you might as well play them. After that, we have has purpose. That can be either they're oddly specific for a specific reason, or sometimes maybe even against specific cards, or just, they're needed for a certain purpose. And then past prime are going to be the ones that just simply aren't good, or just simply are past their prime. They're not as good as they used to be, but they're, rank 4s. So without further ado, let's get straight into this. Starting off, Gagaga Cowboy. This one is strange because you could say it has purpose, being, burning for game, but I'm going to actually go and put it in solid option. I think Gagaga Cowboy is a great card. It ends games, but people also forget it has its attack position effect, where it can actually like beat over certain monsters. So it has utility and is in general a very solid card. After that, Heartland Draco. I was playing this for a while in a lot of decks, and a lot of topping hat format decks also played this, but I'm going to be honest, I think it's not great. I'm going to put it in okay but not needed. It definitely is nice to be able to attack directly, and if you can take advantage of the fact that you have like continuous spells on the field so they can't attack it, that's also very good, but it's not exactly needed. I would, in most cases, probably say at the moment, I'd rather be playing something like Gagaga Cowboy, so that's why we're going to put it there. After that, Evil Swarm Nightmare, it just Book of Moon special summon monsters, and it needs 2 darks. I'm going to put it in past prime. In hat format, a lot of people have even started cutting down on Book of Moon, so why would I play something that is a very like oddly specific Book of Moon? So definitely going to put it there. After that, Lavalval Chain. If you can play Lavalval Chain and your deck can take good advantage of it, which most decks I feel can, even like artifact decks can send an artifact and then like maybe call the Haunted it or just get resources into graveyard. Like any deck that can play Lavalval Chain probably should be if it can take advantage of it. So definitely going to put it up there. After that, we have Crazy Box. Crazy Box has purpose. It's one of those cards that's there if you're playing skill drain or if your deck loses really hard to skill drain. It's a way to just have a big body on board. And, besides that, the effects that it has are really random and don't come up that often. But in general, I would say it has its purpose and that's what it's there for. Bujin Kagatsuchi. This one is tough. This one, I would say, I want to say it's like a solid option, but the fact you need Beast Warriors for it, it's kind of like 101. It has its protection if it would be destroyed. It also mills some cards, which is really nice. So that's good too. And let me think here. I think it's a little specific, so I'm going to say okay, but not needed. I would say if there was more of a category for oddly specific stuff, like more than has purpose, I'd probably put that there. But it's a very good card, and I think if you can play it, it's not bad at all. But the fact that not everything can play it, I'm going to put it there. After that, we have Diamond Direwolf. This one is also somewhere in between okay but not needed and solid option. A lot of decks can kind of take care of what Diamond Direwolf does, but I think in general it is a very solid option. It helps you out floodgates or just problematic cards, so very good card in general. After that, Karen Gorgon, I really like this card. I don't want to be super biased on it, but I personally really like this card. That being said, though, I think it's okay but not needed. Being able to redirect targeting is really good, but and I guess it also has, I think, 2,450 attacks, so that's like kind of strong too. But in general, I think it's okay. You don't necessarily need to play it. Not as many decks play this anymore, but it's definitely still in the format, so I wouldn't put it in like past prime or anything, but it's there. After that, Heroic Champion Excalibur. The decks that can play this should play it, but it's also just not needed, so I'm going to put it here. I would definitely, let me actually kind of reorganize this a little bit. I think Cowboy's pretty solid there. After that, I'd say that's pretty good, and this is pretty good. Yeah, I'd probably put it like that. But yeah, it's a good card, but it's just there's usually more generic things that are just in general better than it, so that's why I'm gonna put it there. After that, we have Steelsworm Roach. Um, this card I feel is past its prime. It does see small bits of play here and there, specifically against like Hieratic Ruler and stuff, because it has to stop inherent level 5 or higher monster summons, which is like whatever, but in general, I think it's a little past its prime in hat format specifically. You might want to put it in like okay but not needed, but I just don't think this card's great. 101. 101 is somewhere between solid option and 100%. I'm gonna put it for now in 100%. I think just generically, every deck is gonna special summon for the most part at some point, and you want to be able to have 101 to take that and kind of get rid of it. So, also having protection helps you play through back row even if you summon this and don't have to uh, take one of your opponent's special summon attack position monsters. So, first one in the 100%, very, very good card. Some people will go as to play, multiple copies of this in the extra deck too. So, very good card. Lightning Chidori, I'm going to put in solid option. This is one of the few cards that's very specific because it needs wind monsters, but being able to stack a card on the bottom and top of the opponent's deck, a set card and a face-up card, is really, really strong. Not every deck can like take advantage of that, like I mentioned, but if you can, you should be. It's such a good card. Uh, Lagia, Walking Solemn is really good. It's same boat as um, Lightning Chidori. It's specific, but if you can play it, you should be playing it. After that, we have Tiger King. Tiger King is a searcher for your tanky pretty much. It also, you need Beast Warriors to summon it. I'm going to put this one, like, it's kind of weird because now that I'm looking at this list, there are a few different cards that are just searchers. So I guess, I kind of want to say they're solid and stuff, but I'm going to put all the searchers, I think, in has purpose. Like, for example, King of the Feral Imp searches your Kagado Kages in most cases. It can also search, your reptiles and things, which is very good. I think the only difference is for Gear Gigant, because I think machines are a lot more prevalent. Things like Geargia can also take advantage of the secondary effect of this, even though, like I said, I don't really want to get into the specifics, because at that rate, Fire Fist can take advantage of the summoning effect when Tiger King leaves, but I think Gear Gigant is slightly above the others, so I'm going to put that in solid option. It's definitely, like, better than okay, but, obviously needing machines, only certain decks can take advantage of this. Evil Swarm Thantos, I think this card doesn't see enough play. It needs darks, and it basically can quick effect make itself unaffected by other monster effects for the turn. And it has pretty decent stats, I think 2350 attack. But needing darks is kind of interesting, and also it is a trap format, so like, being unaffected by monster effects isn't the craziest things. I think for Evil Swarm specifically, it's good because it means that the fire hands can't pop it, so they won't be able to keep floating. And anyone who's played Evil Swarm knows that the hands kind of affect that. But for that specifically, I want to say I'll put it in okay. I think it doesn't see enough play, but it also just, there's other cards that can kind of do that. I think its attack being slightly larger than the other options is what makes it really good. So I'll put it in okay, but not needed because I think that's a perfect example of that card. Utopia is past its prime. Nothing really needed to say about that. It just negates attacks. It's just not needed, really. Let's see. Gem Knight Pearl. This is another one past its prime. I guess the one cool thing you could say is I believe it's a normal monster, technically. So, like, you can't Fiendish Chain it, but again, nothing crazy. Ice Beast Zero Fine needs Winged Beast monsters, but it just negates everything your opponent has for, like, a full turn cycle, I think. This falls into the same thing as Lightning Chidori. If you can play it, you probably should play it, but the thing is not that many decks can play it. But again, it also gets like an attack bonus and stuff, so that's really, really good too. Putting these ones at the end because they are specific, but very good rank 4s in general. Black Ship of Corn. This card I'm gonna put between Lavalval Chain and Cowboy if it'll let me. This card is usually used to out things like the hands, Zen mains, and different things. It also does 1,000 damage. It means, as compared to the next card here, Evagishki Marrowgeist, this one can be summoned in defense, and then, you have a defender, plus you outed a problematic card and did some burn damage, where Marrowgeist, you have to attack it, but it shuffles the card back into the deck, and that on its own, shuffling back into the deck is kind of interesting because that means your opponent won't be able to soul charge back the monster, which has its benefits. So with Marrowgeist, I want to say it's okay, but not needed. I'll put it like right here. This is another card similar to the Thantos that doesn't see a lot of representation, but I think it's a solid card overall. Abyss Dweller is 100% should be in your extra deck. If you can make rank 4s, shutting down hands, Mermails, just all the important grave effects like artifacts, very, very important card. I think it's a great card and you should 100% be playing it. Downerd Magician, has purpose. It's, for any deck that puts up like rank 1s, rank 2s, etc., being able to just, after you've used its purpose, put up a monster that gains a bit of attack and do piercing damage and just is a bigger body is very important. So I think that has purpose. Maelstrom, again, very similar thing to what other card did I mention? I forget what card I brought up with this one, but this one is past its prime. Book of Mooning Monsters just isn't great. So we're gonna put that there. After that, Suki Omi. Suki Omi is like okay, but not needed. I'll put it here. Like being able to discard your hand and draw 2 new cards is nice. Obviously, for this card, you need 2 light monsters to summon it. So there are certain decks, Lightsworn, Bujin, etc., can take advantage of that. And it does have a lot of defense, which is really nice. So there's that. But again, it's not really needed. It can depend on the deck, though, if you want to play it. But it's kind of like you don't have to if you don't want to. Daigusto Emerald. This card is like a solid option. It puts back resources. It gains you a little bit of advantage by drawing a card. just overall, very solid. Bahamut Shark. I'm gonna put this in has purpose. For Mermail or other water decks, it kind of just plays the role of summoning another Xyz from your extra deck. It does have 2600 attack, I'm pretty sure, which is very strong too, so if you can make it and just attack with it, it's good, but for the most part, it's there just to summon something else out. Ragna Zero. This card is, like, good. It's pretty good. I'll put it right about here because it is generic. That is very good. It has 2400 attack. It pops cards with attack that's different from the original, and you draw a card, and that's a quick effect. So very solid. Not every deck is going to have a card that gets hit by this, but you might as well have it in there if you can. I feel like it's almost could be at like the front of here, but I think that's a good place to have it. Constellar Omega is okay, but not needed. Again, it's one of those cards where you need light monsters to summon it, and then it basically is like an Armady sort of. It makes Constellars unaffected by spell and trap cards for the turn. So if you're playing it as a standalone, usually it's just making itself unaffected, which can be good if you're playing through back row, but again, it really just depends on the extra deck space. After that, we have Starliege Paladynamo. I'm gonna say, this one's interesting. I'm gonna say for the ones that do need specifically lights and stuff, this card is like a solid option. The fact that it negates a monster's effects, it makes the attack 0, and when it dies, it draws a card. Very, very solid card. Again, not everything can take advantage of that. Similar, basically from Geargia down on these ones are more specific, but if you can play them, they are the very solid options. After that, we have the Ninja. Let's see here. Shadow Armor. No, I forget the name of this one right now. Blade Armor Ninja. That's it. This one I think is better than Excalibur, but it's not really needed. I think it's kind of similar almost to the Bujin Kagetsuchi. If you can play this, you probably should. Just being able to end games. It has 2200 attack, so in general, very solid. So I'd say right there. Exciton, I want to say Dweller's a little more important, but Exciton is the equalizer. If your opponent's up in card advantage, sometimes just making Exciton and blowing out their board is really good. It makes so your opponent can't always overcommit, because then they'll get punished by it. And the fact it's a quick effect is also just insane, so you should be playing this. After that, we have Giant Hand. This one is my controversial take. I'm going to put it at okay, but not needed. A lot of people don't like the fact I say this. I think this card's okay. It makes rogue decks better if they can, like, at least put up a negate. Also, like, I guess late game, it's pretty solid. It has 2000 attack and defense, so, like, that's okay too, but I think it's just okay. If you guys want to debate that in the comments, go for it. Again, this is all just my opinion. If you guys disagree or want me to explain any more, definitely leave a comment and I'll try to do so. After that, Gandiva. This one's weird. I think it's okay, but not needed. It requires warriors, so that's like its kind of downside, but then it negates the summon of monsters that are like level 4 or lower or something like that, and it can be like monster or monsters. So I think the card's cool. If you have the space for it and your deck can play it, you might as well, but it's also just not needed. After that, Rhapsody and Berserk. This card I think is really, really good. Where would I put it? This one kinda like these ones basically from like maybe like Emerald through Lavavel Chain are so close to being in 100%, but they just aren't. I think I almost want to move Lavavel Chain down a little because, like, yeah, I guess I'll move Lavavel Chain down. I think these two are very close to being staples more than Lavavel Chain is, and same with like these other ones, but very, very good card, and just being able to banish your opponent's resources so that it makes their soul charge weaker, or if they're playing Dragon Rulers, it turns off their resources. Just basically, you know, it does a lot more. I've talked about this card in other videos. I really like that. Dolka. Dolka is like it's basically on the same level as Logia. Logia can hit more because it can stop summons and also spell and traps, but there is a lot of monster effects that, you know, Dolka just hits that Logia can't. So I would say it's pretty much even there. After that, Key Beetle. I'll put Key Beetle is I'll put it here as a solid option. It needs dark monsters. I would almost say it has purpose, being as you're trying to Key Beetle lock a lot of times with floodgates and stuff, but it can do more than that as well. So I think it's a solid option. You know, it plays a purpose, but it's not like a specific one thing. It can protect like anything. So very good. Photon Poplar Operative, past its prime. Flipping up a monster isn't really crazy and making its attack a little weaker. It doesn't really do enough in hat format. Um, Next we have Queen Dragon Jinn. I'll put this one as another okay but not needed. It's one of those things, it can revive a dragon, and then that monster can attack. I think it might be 5 or higher dragon actually, but in general, making so that your opponent can't target other ones for attacks or they can't be destroyed by battle. I forget the exact wording on it. Is like okay, and like if your deck can play it, it's generic, but it affects dragon monsters. So like if you can play it, you might as well if you have the space and if it plays enough of a purpose needing to bring back a dragon. So I'd say it's okay, but not needed, almost in past prime, but I've found the use of this card in a couple different decks, so I can't really say it's the worst. It's just like okay. Kachi Kochi, a double attacker if it kills something by battle, and it only has, I think, like 1900 attack is not good. And that's the last one. I think I accidentally put 2 nightmares again. Oh, that's, yeah, okay. But yeah, so that is my opinion on this. Again, some of these, like for the solid option, they are requiring like Geargia needs machines, or Key Beetle needs darks, or dinosaurs, or, you know, different attributes and stuff. That being said, if you can play them, you should play them. But if not, you know, it is what it is. All these other generic options at the beginning here, and even the okay but not needed, are very good cards. So that's just my opinion on it. Like I said, if you guys disagree, make sure to comment that in the comment section. Let's have a little bit of a debate, but, you know, be respectful with it. And if I missed anything that falls into the just, you know, 2 level 4s and isn't archetypal specific, definitely comment that in the comment section and we can talk more on that. And as always, drop a like on this video, comment any questions or videos you'd like to see in the future, share this video with your friends, and anyways, guys, I will see you in the next video.